The New York Jets had an ugly loss on Monday night to the 49ers. 32-19 was the final score. But there's no need to panic if you're a Jets fan, because your next 4 games should be automatic wins. You're going up against the Tennessee Titans, the Patriots, the Broncos, and the Vikings. These are probably the 4 worst teams that you're going to play all season. You easily should be able to be 4-1 going into your big division matchup against the Buffalo Bills. And you got enough talent where you should be able to compete and go toe-to-toe with Buffalo to the point where you could win both games in the season series, or you could split with Buffalo. Aaron Rodgers, he didn't look washed up to me. I thought Aaron Rodgers looked pretty good. It's like the dude didn't play football in over the span of a year or two. So, of course, he wasn't going to be able to pick up where he left off when he last won MVP a few years back, but that was to be expected. For Aaron Rodgers to not play in the preseason and to miss all of last year pretty much but 3 plays, I thought he looked pretty good. This is week 1 as he continues to build rapport and better chemistry with his offensive line and receivers. I expect his play to pick up. Aaron Rodgers still had moments where he had those vintage throws. We saw when the 49ers got called for a defensive penalty and he threw a dot to Allen Lazard for a touchdown. So there still were moments where you saw that vintage Aaron Rodgers that the Jets envisioned getting when they traded for him a few years back. And the offensive line, I felt, had some moments where they held up well in pass protection. You got Garrett Wilson, you got Breece Hall, Allen Lazard finally has arisen. There were people who wanted Allen Lazard cut. They thought he was a bad free agency signing. Well, it's like Aaron Rodgers wanted to tell you to go get a dude if he wasn't going to get him involved. So I don't really have as many concerns with the New York Jets personnel nor their coaching staff with Aaron Rodgers being healthy, because this team is only going to go as far as what Aaron Rodgers takes them. Now, I do know that the Jets defense was uncharacteristically bad against the 49ers. Like, they scored damn near every single possession they had the ball offensively, but that's probably the worst performance that you're going to see out of the Jets this year. Robert Saleh, you can question how good he is as a head coach, but we know that he's one of the premier defensive minds in the game. He normally has a consistently elite defense year in and year out. And after you play the Buffalo Bills, you play the Pittsburgh Steelers, the New England Patriots, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Indianapolis Colts. 3 out of 4 of those teams have inconsistent offenses. You don't know what you're going to get out of Pittsburgh offensively. You know that they most likely, at best, are probably only going to get the 24 points max. You love your ability, if you are the Jets, defensively to slow down the Steelers' offense, with that being a run-heavy team. The New England Patriots, they sucked. That win that they got week 1 against Cincinnati was fluke. It's week 1. You know, weird stuff happens early into the season. The Arizona Cardinals are going to be feisty. You know, Kyler Murray, the little midget that they got back there, he's a difficult quarterback to stop. And with the addition of Marvin Harrison Jr. and the other receivers they have, that's not going to be an easy win for you. But defensively, with Arizona having a bad offensive line, the New York Jets should be able to take advantage of that. And that should help them take control of that game and eventually win it. And the Indianapolis Colts, Anthony Richardson is going to be up and down this season. So depending on how well he looks that night is going to drastically affect the chances the Jets have at winning that game. But this easily should be a 7-3, 8-2 team as we approach the midway point of this season. I would be incredibly shocked if the New York Jets go into week 10 and they're a 5-4 football team. They don't have a tough schedule. They're going up against a lot of teams that probably won't make it to the playoffs this year and don't have a quarterback as good as what Aaron Rodgers is. And last year, you were in close games against Kansas City with Zach Wilson, for crying out loud. Imagine how many of those close games you would have won if Aaron Rodgers was fully healthy. There's no reason to panic about the New York Jets' bad opening game that they had against the 49ers, because we know the 49ers are a good team. Although you would like to win that game to have momentum going into week 2. You know, Tennessee has Will Levis at quarterback. I love the Jets to win that one. That's one of my best bets of this week. So if you're a Jets fan, you just need to cool out. and relax. I get it's week one. You probably expected a better performance with Aaron Rodgers coming back, but you knew he was going to be a little bit rusty. And the defense obviously has some issues on their D line, but thankfully, your next 4 or 5 games are against teams that don't have potent offenses. They don't really have proven quarterbacks that are good. So you should be able to win these next couple of games. You get into the month of October, you're 4-1 going up against the Buffalo Bills. And then if you can split with them, then, you could set yourself up where you're going to get into the mid portion of this year and you're right smack dab in contention to get the number 1 seed in the AFC. So I'm still high on the New York Jets. I don't view this team as a Super Bowl contender. They just got way too much going on from a coaching staff standpoint with the whole Aaron Rodgers standpoint, where I don't think they got enough to make a deep playoff run. To make a deep playoff run, everybody has to be balled in. It has to be one team, one goal. I don't think they're well coached or buttoned up enough to go deep in the playoffs, but I do believe that they're good enough to win 10 games and possibly win the AFC East Division this year over the Buffalo Bills, who they have their own concerns with how bad their defense looked against Arizona.